You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Today's the beginning of the 2019 Women Grow Leadership Summit taking place here in Washington, D.C. This is the 6th year in a row they've held this. It's the largest professional network that connects, educates, and empowers female leaders in the cannabis industry. Here to talk about why this is so critically important, Gia Maron, president of the Women Grow Leadership Summit, and CEO, Dr. Chanda, is it Macias? Macias. All right, here we go. So let's get right to it. First of all, how did this start? How did y'all get involved in the cannabis industry? And were y'all users or you entrepreneurs?
Entrepreneurs. Yep, definitely. I'll start it off. Yeah. So I did my research at Howard University. I studied prostate cancer, metastasis to bone. So when I was actually researching it, we found that cannabis had some medicinal benefits. But because I went to a HBCU, they were like, oh, if you study this, you're going to go to prison. And I was like,
literally said that?
Oh, yeah. We already know how the impact on the war on drugs impacted the black community. So it's not like it's hidden. It created a pipeline to prison. And therefore, our community is still not embracing that narrative. But there's people making billions in this industry.
White people. No, see, we're specific on this show.
Yes, okay, and we're not a part of that. So us creating the platform at Women Grow is to actually show that there are black women that are now bringing awareness that you can engage in this industry.
So for me, I'm coming from a financial services background, and so I had practices.
For everybody at home, that means get paid. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I worked on Wall Street for 15 years. How's that? Is that plain enough?
There you go. That's right.
But for that matter, I, worked over the years watching channels like CNBC and Bloomberg, watching the financial markets. And so when I began to see cannabis coverage happening on CNBC and Bloomberg and not seeing any reflections of my community, that was a call to action for me. So I recognized early on, especially having worked in financial services, to look at the trends and outlooks. And I've often seen what trends and outlooks do to our community. They move ahead while we stay behind. And so one of my goals was to make sure that not only did I become a part of this, but that we brought other people from our communities into this industry to show what the opportunities were.
So I think the mistake that often happens is, this always happens, I think, for a lot of us, and that is we deal with the social justice part first, and we deal with money last. So I'll unpack that. I had a conversation with another company, and they're actually one of our sponsors, and we were having a discussion about some different events, and they wanted to talk about expungement. I was like, let the folks who do expungement talk about expungement. I said, somebody has to specifically talk about the money part. Because I think what happens all too often for African Americans, we want to deal with the criminal justice part, the social justice part, which I totally understand, as opposed to say, okay, for the folks who do that, let them do that, but somebody has to explicitly talk about what this means financially for us and what we must be focusing on financially. And that, to me, I think, is what we always have to be thinking about, not just always how we were impacted by folks who were arrested, who are still in jail. There are people who do that, but somebody has to say, no, this is about us getting paid off of an industry where others are making billions when we actually have already paid the price in another way.
So you're just preaching to the choir. There's less than 4% ownership of African Americans in the cannabis industry today, when there's thousands of plant-touching businesses. And so this is what we're trying to address, is that the cannabis industry is moving so fast that if we pause and stop, we'll be left behind. Instead, we need to work simultaneously with what, social justice reform, but also think about businesses in cannabis.
And there's no reason why that we can't work together as a collective, working towards the same thing, but we're all on assignment. We use the skill sets and the talents that we have, and we apply it to those areas of which we are most passionate about. So Dr. Chanda is passionate about the medicine and the plant and her patients. She's also very passionate about business. But it's very important that we divide, I don't want to say and conquer, but we divide and become more successful in this space versus bridging together just in one space. We need to play the field in this industry.
And we talk about, again, what's happening. We know obviously California was happening in Colorado, but then, of course, here in D.C. But also, I think black state legislators are now also getting smart about it. The reason they are holding it up in New Jersey, New York, because the black folks are saying, no. We are not supporting this unless we guarantee black folks are getting their fair share. That was the issue in Maryland,
Yes.
where they moved ahead but did not ensure that we were a part of that, and so you only had one or two African Americans with dispensaries in Maryland. And so the last thing we can have is, again, us greatly impacted on the criminal justice side, and then again left out on the economic side.
Well, I agree with you on that, and I can attest that I'm a New Yorker myself and very much a part of the coalition in New York that's working towards adult legalization and making sure that our communities that have been most impacted are very much included in this bill and that we're not left behind and that equity starts from day one.
Well, and I'm going to chime in there because the true issues is that, in our New York platform, we went to Emmanuel Baptist Church and we were able to stand in the pulpit and talk about the medicinal benefits of cannabis. But, truthfully, the church has been our pushback as well. Very conservative. We've been able to make it through certain of those platforms. Mm-hmm. But when we go back into our community, since we've been plagued so much and our community has been in prison, that they don't want to have this conversation. They don't want to have to discuss the implications, whether it's about money or if it's about health care. So these are the challenges we face just in our communities, period.
Well, but again, I think it all goes back to education. And at the end of the day, when you don't know, you don't know. And so if you, look, I don't care who you are. If you've grown up multi-generations, and when you hear marijuana, when you hear weed, you think of folks who are getting high, won't have the munchies. You think of people who are breaking the law. You have all of those stereotypes that go along with it. And so now all of a sudden you're shifting from what is illegal to now what is legal, and then now what is commerce. And yes, it's a different conversation, which is why I think you have to have various platforms that are talking about this here. And also, I think it's important to walk folks through to get them to understand that the barriers to entry have also been lowered. And that is, what are the available opportunities? We had a couple of years ago, we interviewed Montel Williams, and we talked about, he has a couple of publicly traded companies, and we talked about that. And so his whole deal was like, look, this is not where, okay, you need $25,000 to be able to get into this. He's like, look, here's a publicly traded stock where you can be able to access. And again, it's just to me, it's this constant state of education, because so many of us simply don't know, because that's just not what we do.
And that's the platform we have at Women Grow. We educate. How
many folks you have there?
So today we had over 600 participants, and we were really excited about that. But with the challenges of even educating the population, we can't advertise for the event. Facebook will shut us down.
Hold on. I'm sorry, why?
Because it's a legal substance. We cannot advertise even an educational event.
Illegal still.
Yes.
Okay, what do you mean you can't advertise? You can't say...
Facebook has a ban against, even if you're licensed or not even touching the plant, we cannot advertise on Facebook.
Okay, you couldn't even advertise saying you're having a summit?
No.
And going a step further and explaining that this is a women's conference and that we promote entrepreneurship and women in business, and that our goal is to get more women into the cannabis industry, and our advertisements and promotions were continuously shut down.
Really? Only on Facebook?
No, Instagram will delete your page.
Well, Facebook owns Instagram.
Well, yes.
Right.
So that's our challenges. And a lot of...
So how do you get around that?
Grassroots campaign, talking to you, bringing awareness in any way we can. And so that's where the movement is. And that's why the education hasn't gotten out. We're stunned by the federal government.
That's real interesting there in terms of those platforms. And so, if that's the case, have you had the same issues on radio?
We don't get all the opportunities that we could get because this is still very conservative and a muted point.
No, what I'm saying is, but can you do? I mean,
Radio ads?
No radio ads,
No.
but we can go on.
radio interviews.
Yes, we can
That's
do
what I'm
radio
saying.
interviews.
Yeah.
Yes,
Got
absolutely.
it. Got it.
So what Chanda's explaining is that in terms of advertisement, so beyond social media, even print advertisement, we can advertise in our industry trades. But when you look at mainstream media, very rarely do you see cannabis advertisement. Now, in terms of large conferences, I have seen billboards, but those are more regional as versus national exposure. So it continues to be grassroots, and you really do need to be within the industry to know what's happening, which, pivoting to your point earlier, in order for our communities to know, they have to be in the know. Right. And so if they're not connected to our industry, how are they going to know about conferences like Women Grow or any of the other industry events? So these opportunities are important for us to get the message out.
So your conference is the same time each year, and so how could folks get more information about your organization?
So you can go to our website, womengrow.com. We have a Facebook page. We can't boost it, but we have gentle posts about being in business and entrepreneurship.
You have gentle posts.
Gentle posts.
Okay, I haven't heard that one. They have a gentle post. Y'all know I don't do gentle posts. I don't do those.
But yeah, so you can find us about Women Grow on our website, our social media handles, and then there are cannabis magazines that will support us.
And, you know, to Dr. Chanda's point is that what's interesting about that is that our reach on social media is over 2.5 million, right? And so people are
You say
really...
our reach, meaning your organization.
Yes.
Our organization, that's correct. And what's interesting is even looking at our conference today, the number of newcomers, people who are interested whether to starting a business or transitioning their careers and just becoming, applying their skill sets to jobs within the industry. So the fact that we have a reach of over 2 million, the fact that more than half of our attendees are brand new to the cannabis industry speaks volumes to us.
Cool. Are you live streaming any of your events this weekend?
Some of them we are. So tomorrow we'll have a series of panels.
On what platform?
On womengrow.com.
Okay. Oh, right to the right, but.
So actually, we're not able to boost, but if you follow us on social media at Women Grow, you will see that we're doing Facebook Lives, right? So Facebook hasn't shut that down. Twitter
Right. So I'm saying,
hasn't shut that
so you're going to be part of the conference. You're streaming on Facebook Live.
Yes, segments of it. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Got it. All right. Cool. All right. Well, groovy. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And good luck for the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
We hope
Appreciate
you'll come one day.
Huh?
Will you come and visit us one day?
Yeah, no big deal. All right. No, unfortunately, I got to go tomorrow. I have to go to North Carolina. Reverend William Barber's mom is retiring 53 years, and so he leaned on the Alpha Shield to get me to come to the woods of North Carolina. So I will be there tomorrow, leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning. So otherwise, I definitely will drop by.
All right, thank you.
Cool. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Hey, folks, they're back. MarijuanaStock.org has another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign, you know they raised a lot of money in just a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Those initial investors now own shares of a publicly traded company. They're on fire. Certainly a lot of you missed it. Now you have an opportunity. Now they have a new investment opportunity that is as good, if not even better, than the last. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is the cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that. Congress made it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all of the plants, and this makes for an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. You can get in on the action. You can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. Like I said, you don't want to miss out. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and do it now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.